The budget lacks foundation since government failed to meet about 80% of its development targets in the 2014 budget, which should have served as a foundation for this budget, which is being presented to the House.
The Minister of Finance, Honorable Setekpe, is to appear before Parliament to present to the House government's 2015 financial policy for scrutiny. Members of the minority have, however, argued that they wonder the projections government has this time made in the 2015 budget and how these development goals can be attained, since government failed to meet about 80% of its projections made in the 2014 budget. They identified some of the shortfalls as government failure to pay statutory funds, now in arrears for over 4 quarters, collapsing of government social intervention programs, and misapplication of state funds, among other factors which have contributed to the rapidly deteriorating economy.
Look at the basis or the foundation of the budget itself. I have problem with this budget in the sense that if you consider the 2014 budget, what was the level of implementation of that budget? You know, budget is projections, and you base it on actuals, and then you project into the future. If you consider most of the payments, most of the expenditure areas, especially the statutory funds, the whole of this year, government has not paid a single peso out of the Youth Assembly Commons Fund. So what projections are they going to make? On what actuals? Is it 2013 actuals? If you go to CARE Fund, the same. If you go to National Health Insurance Fund, the same. All these statutory funds have not been paid. So what are the actual expenditures they are going to use as the basis of the projection for the 2015? So you realize that even the fundamental is already weak.
Hardly a year ago, we had the opportunity to approve of a budget of the nation, of which allocations were made to ministries, departments, and agencies and other bodies for the running of the government machinery and the economy as a whole. We are all witness to the fact that funds that were approved has not been disbursed. Statutory funds meant for the National Health Insurance, the GET Fund, the Road Fund, the District Assembly Common Fund, and several payments, including commitment to Parliament, has not been fulfilled. The ministries are crying, virtually everybody, contractors have not been paid. The whole system. So I really wonder what the man is bringing for approval. But what we approved of last year has not been spent. If I give you money, you are going to do this and you have not spent the money, and you come for new approval, there's an account proverb that if you have sheep and you send some out to go and graze, when they have not come back, you don't put another one in.
Some members of the minority said this time they expect to see a more realistic financial policy, but not like that of the previous years, which have been full of public deception and political rhetoric.
The budget itself, the 2014 budget, hasn't been implemented. That is the bottom line. It hasn't been implemented. We passed about 39 billion budget as at March or so, and then you came for another supplementary of about 3.4 billion. There are statutory obligations that we all know by law that is part of the budget, and you've not implemented any of them. The whole year, 4th quarter is ending, the 4th quarter is ending, and you've not met your statutory obligation. So you could see that the budget hasn't been implemented. So what are you coming for? What are you coming to do? Because you also must review the 2014 budget. So that is the spirit behind it. That doesn't motivate us. You see, if an action-oriented budget, 2014, then you are coming. It will excite us. It will motivate us. Now we are demotivated because the spirit is not in us now. We expecting that at least we will see growth in certain areas, but all indications show that there isn't going to be any growth in another area.
Budget reading is an annual ritual that we go through every year. Like he mentioned, last year we approved a big budget for the country, expecting that there were going to be a number of releases to various MMDAs, but we have waited till almost a month to the year, the end of the year. Most of the MDDs have not received their statutory payments. So what are we talking about? What budget at all are you going to approve again? We approve budget for the monies to be released to the various MMDAs. As at now, most of the MMDAs have not received it, including Parliament. For a whole of the year, no common fund for any district assembly, any member of Parliament. So the budget that was approved last year, expecting releases, and we have not received anything. What budget at all are you going to approve? Is it not going to be the same thing that we are going to experience next year? Because last year we approved, nothing were released. This year we are going to approve. So we are expecting that if we approve budgets, it's a mandatory that the Ministry of Finance must release funds to the various MMDAs.
Let's still stay with issues of the economy. And the Chief Executive Officer of Ecobank Transnational Incorporated, Albert Essien, has described as unrealistic the Minister for Trade and Industry's call urging banks to bring down interest rates. He says banks cannot be blamed for the high interest rates they charge, especially when government treasury bills rates are set at 26%. Mr. Essien was speaking to journalists when his bank took its turn at the fact behind the figures section at the Ghana Stock Exchange here in Accra.
The Minister of Trade and Industry, Dr. Ekosville Gabra, has pledged the commitment of the ministry to embark on what he described as a crusade against the high interest rate regime pertaining in the country. Ghana's interest rate is considered one of the highest in the world. Presently, the interest rate in the country hovers around an average of 31% per annum, and it is classified as one of the highest in Africa. While the government complains about the impact of such high interest rate regime in the country, particularly on businesses, market analysts have blamed the government for the situation, saying that the rate at which it was borrowing internally was alarming. For instance, a 91-day treasury bill is now 25.90%, 182 treasury bills at 36.39%, whilst the Government of Ghana one-year note is set at 22.50%. As a result, among other factors, the banks are reluctant to lend money to businesses and individuals at lower rates. The Chief Executive Officer for Ecobank Transnational Incorporated, Albert Essien, seemed to share in this assertion.
That is cost of borrowing by the businesses. But you know, they've increased their base rate, but the reference rate, that is the 91-day TB rate, is higher than the base rate. So their base rate for me is neither here nor there. I said the reference rate is higher. The TB rate is higher than their base rate. So which one would you take? Oh, with all due respect to my Honorable Speaker Gabra, he knows that that is a different talk.
I'm not saying anything, sir.
I'm not saying anything. I mean,
you said you were going to try as much as possible to ensure the banks reduce your interest rates.
For you to understand
what I'm saying is that if the reference rate at the central bank is I think 25% or thereabouts, why would you lend beyond that? Why would you lend below that? That's the question. People forget that the commercial bank is also a player in an economy. So we take a cue from the operating environment. Now, if the 91-day treasury bill rate is at that rate, why would you lend below that? So I don't know. I think the minister was saying something that I'm not aware of.
Well, so clearly, Mr. Albert Essien there saying that call by Ekosville Gabra for them to reduce their interest rates is unrealistic. Well, we will be analyzing more of these as we get into the budget, which is the fiscal document, and the impact it would have on all these issues, interest rates, and the call by the minister, and how banks have been reacting to it. But let's go into the issue of agriculture, where almost half of food crops produced in the country does not make it to the final consumer. A study on post-harvest losses in the country has revealed. The research, sponsored by Alliance for a Green Revolution in Africa, was conducted in 2013 by the Urban Association Limited on post-harvest losses of selected food crops in 11 African countries.
According to the report, As such as 60% of yam produced in Ghana, for instance, does not make it to the consumer. The study said the level of losses occurring in maize production, for instance, ranges between 5 to 70%, while between 11 to 27% of rice cultivated never make it to the consumer. The amount of millet, sorghum, lost after harvesting ranges from 5 to 15%, with 18% of cassava lost after harvesting, the report added. Post-harvest losses typically occur due to a host of factors, including human activities such as transporting, dehusking, shelling, winnowing, drying, and bagging, and during storage. In 2013, Dr. Joe Oten-Ejei, Minister for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, said Ghana loses between 20 and 50% of all vegetables, fruits, cereals, roots and tubers produced each year, while it struggles to achieve food security and eradicate hunger. He attributed the losses to inadequate storage facilities, poor road infrastructure, and the lack of ready market for most agricultural produce. The UN Food and Agriculture Organization estimates that the world's productivity must increase by 70% in 2050 in order to feed the estimated 9 billion project populations. However, the world seems far from achieving this goal, since estimates from the Food and Agriculture Organization indicates that while 1 in every year, 7 persons in the world go without food, about 1.3 billion tons of the world's food is wasted every year.
Now, let's go into the Legislative House. And as I said earlier, Finance Minister Seth Terkper is finished presenting the government's 2015 budget statement on the floor of the House of Parliament. He started by presenting the 2014 annual reports on the Petroleum Fund. Reports indeed stated that progress has been made in resolving major economic challenges under the Century Accord. He catalogued some achievements of the government, such as completion of the migration of all public sector workers onto the single spine after years of failure, clearing of all arrears under the single spine, eliminating long queues at fuel stations. Notwithstanding these successes, the economy came under significant shocks from 2013 through to 2015. Some of these setbacks, he said, affected the stability of the local currency. But after the intervention of the Bank of Ghana, the currency is gradually gaining its strength. So let's just go back, take some salient issues that the Finance Minister pointed out in the budget earlier today.
Prices during the third quarter of 2014 has benefited our automatic adjustment policy. However, it is a factor that becomes important in our quest to utilize the petroleum funds under the PRMA for savings, stabilization, and investment. Mr. Speaker, besides the continuing adverse impact on national output, as well as losses in foreign exchange and tax revenues, these latter setbacks had a major impact on the value of the cedi in early 2014. It took several additional bold efforts and the reversal of compliance measures announced by the Bank of Ghana to reverse and stabilize the currency. Thankfully, the Ghana cedi has started showing signs of recovery, which is an explicit illustration of the recovery and bright near-term prospects for the economy. Mr. Speaker, it was also at this critical juncture, however, that the government decided to request the IMF for balance of payment support that comes with a funded IMF program. Indeed, the enhancements to the homegrown policies, which would have expired in 2016 and 2017, and the outcome of the Century consultations have been used as vital input for the ongoing program discussions with the IMF. Mr. Speaker, the discussions have been progressing well, and at the appropriate time, when we expect the IMF board to approve the program, we will return to this House with an update. Mr. Speaker, some of us have expressed fears about the potential IMF program. May I state that the nation has a record of implementing several IMF programs in the past. And on this occasion, we have the opportunity of providing input which this August House approved in the form of various measures that are in our homegrown policy. Furthermore, the discussions are taking place against the background of the bright medium-term prospects, which I will be talking about pretty soon. Mr. Speaker, while Ghanaians and the markets were taking the essence of Ghana's announcement of an IMF program in its stride, we achieved another important and significant success in launching our third sovereign bond of $1 billion in early September 2014. Similarly, on the same day as the bond issue, the Ghana Cocoa Board also signed an agreement for $1.7 billion, which was a result of another successful bid to access the international capital market. Mr. Speaker.
Okay, so that's the budget that the finance minister presented earlier on in Parliament today. Let's cross over to Parliament now, and our parliamentary correspondent, Leslie McCarthy, is on the telephone. Good afternoon to you, McCarthy.
Good afternoon.
Thank you. Now, tell us exactly what the reactions have been and what have the MPs been saying after the finance minister's presentation.
Well, the Minister of Finance has just finished presenting the government financial policy and then budget statement for the 2016 fiscal year. But on the side of the minority, I saw them with placards reading stop corruption, reduce fuel prices. But from what the minister has just read, he's saying that this is going to be a transformational budget that is going to propel the NDC to attain its Better Ghana agenda. But I think the views of the minority will vary. I have two very honorable members from the minority by my side who would want to also share their views on the budget.
You can go ahead.
Honorable, what do you make of the statement, government policy statement for the 2016? Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, and good afternoon to your viewers and listeners. You see, this budget, the minister himself says that he will come back to Parliament sometime in March to review the budget. It's like we are joking in this country. You prepare a budget, it's an annual budget, and because they could not conclude with the IMF on their bailout program, they have no other choice to present something. This one is just, when you look at the budget critically, it's just cut and paste, I'm telling you. It is just cut and paste. And for us, it doesn't give us any hope at all. Because when you make all your targets for 2014, and the future is not too good, there are every indication that things are not going to go well, then you are still waiting for the IMF package. And remember, when the president said that we are going for the bailout to give us credibility, and if that the IMF, so how can you even conclude on your targets? It is so ridiculous. I see this thing as very ridiculous. So that the minister himself admitted and said that he will come back to Parliament in March to review this thing. And we know that it is because they are still discussing with the IMF, and then they will come back with the bailout program. Because this one, it is just a litany of lies and failures and promise and faith and that kind of thing. What they said they would do in 2014, that is why they repeated. They think they don't have any good plan between now and March until the IMF comes in line. So for me, it is a very hopeless thing that we witnessed this morning. Hello?
Yes. Leslie.
Like you heard from the member of the minority, he says this is a hopeless budget. But, they may have varied views. So I have another member of parliament by my side who also shared his view on the budget. Who is the member of parliament for Provo Amasama. Honorable, you are live and then we want to hear your views on this budget. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Hello?
Honorable Moses Enim, now we want to find out from you, now the minister, the finance minister said that they have put measures in place to at least make sure that we improve on accountability of the oil revenue, amongst others. I want to find out your thoughts, how this budget gets to you. Does it exert some hope from your perspective?
No, okay, thank you very much, and then let me greet your listeners. But you see, what is transformational about this budget? There's nothing transformational about this budget. Look, all the targets that is set for 2014, they missed all the targets.
Right.
Look, if you should come back to Parliament by July 2014, and you still cannot have your arm on your target that you reviewed, then at the end of the day, we are in trouble. There's nothing transformational about the budget that the minister really presents. It's not a matter of just being in opposition or minority, so we are criticizing for criticizing sake. My brother, all the targets that we set, they lost it. The 2014 budget is set. We couldn't execute the budget and implement it. At the end of the day, all the targets we set and the funds that we approved for you, in terms of the statutory requirements, we could not provide any of them.
Okay.
Now we are coming back telling us that we are rolling out 2015 a transformational budget. Meanwhile, the target that you set even for your GDP for 2015 is even far lower. So what are we talking about? You see, this is the problem. Look at the unemployment rate in this country. There's nothing talked about a policy that can create jobs.
Right.
There's nothing talked about policy that can improve our energy needs.
Okay, honorable.
As we speak now, the Bunso is killing every company. Both the GOG facilities and both the private sector. It's bad. So we were expecting a budget that really can change and bring progress in this country. And now, I tell you, this is just a preliminary comment that we are making. We are not going to go into the details of it and come out and compare and look at the trend. Then at the end of the day, what is good for this country. MPs are going to give alternatives. We're going to present our alternatives when we are debating the policy. And so we hope that your man here will pick up on the alternatives that we are going to provide.
Also,
so that the government will listen to our alternatives in terms of policy outline, maybe to help this country. And we hope they will listen this time around about the alternatives we're going to turn out so that we all grow this economy for all of us.
Honorable, thank you. Thank you for your thoughts. Let me just speak to my man there, Leslie McCarthy. Let's get some details on this. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello, Leslie. Now, well, the minister says it's going to come back in March. Finally, how, it's normal for them to put names to every budget that is read. How have the minority in unison been describing this budget?
If I'm getting you right, like I said yesterday, to them this budget is hollow and it brings anything provisional to the country.
Okay.
Just as the minister has said, So as I speak to you now, I'm thinking they are even going into a caucus meeting to deliberate on their response to the budget.
Very well. Leslie, thank you very much for this update this afternoon. Okay, so that's my colleague there, Leslie McCarthy, in Parliament, bringing us up to speed with exactly what members of Parliament have been talking about after this budget presentation by the Finance Minister said. You had the minority MPs saying that the budget is hollow and they do not have any hope in it. Well, the Minister of Finance says that this is a transformational budget and he's going to come back in March and presumably after the IMF bailout is concluded and the impact it would have on the economy. We will be back shortly with some more stories after this quick break here on First TV. Don't go away.
Like us on Facebook at First Digital TV.
I love you, you love me, baby, I know it's true, sometimes it's crazy.
You can now pay your 20 Ghana Cedis First Digital subscription at your nearest GN Bank. Just walk in with your UN number, which you can find by pressing CAS on your remote. Please pay now to avoid disconnection. Call 0243 002222 for more information. First Digital, for the Ghanaian in you. Like us on Facebook at First Digital TV.
I love you, you love me, baby, I know it's true, sometimes it's crazy.
Welcome back to News on First TV. Now, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has pledged $5.7 million towards a program to increase production of experimental Ebola treatments in Guinea and other affected countries. The program will focus on treatments derived from the blood of survivors. The foundation also said the grant will be used to evaluate new experimental drugs.
More than 5,000 people have died in the current Ebola outbreak, almost all of them in West Africa. There is currently no licensed treatment or vaccine for the Ebola virus. Hospital treatment is based on giving patients intravenous fluids to stop dehydration and antibiotics to fight infections. There are, however, several experimental vaccines and drug treatment for Ebola under development, but these have not yet been fully tested for safety or effectiveness. The medical charity Médecins Sans Frontières is to start clinical trials of some of these treatments in West Africa in December. The foundation, run by former Microsoft boss Bill Gates and his wife Melinda, said that it would work with several private partners to develop convalescent plasma treatment. The treatment would use blood donated from Ebola survivors who had been screened for diseases. Speaking earlier this month, Bill Gates said more research into Ebola was needed. The liquid plasma for the blood containing disease-fighting antibodies will then be isolated and injected directly into patients. The remaining blood could then be returned to the donor, allowing them to donate blood at a faster rate than before.
Now, a police force is constituted of a body of persons empowered by the state to enforce the law, protect property, and limit civil disorder. But if the condition in which some of these law enforcers are working and their surroundings can be best described as deplorable, unfortunate, terrible, and appalling, then there is much cause for worry. Now, my colleague Bright Jaka and Samuel Essel of our sister station in Enyidado FM, our Central Regional correspondent, visited Ewutu Bojuase police station in the Central Region to find out some details of the situation there. Came through this report.
Ewutu Municipal Assembly has 5 police stations under 2 police administrations at Winneba and Kasoa. The 5 police stations are located at Winneba, Ewutu Breku, Senya, Bojuase, and Kasoa. After several distress calls from the personnel at the Bojuase police station complaining about the state of their facilities, First Digital News teamed up with our sister station Enyidado FM to see at first hand the exact situation pertaining there and the conditions in which these men and women work. Since there is a saying that pictures tell more stories than words, we decided to let you see it for yourself. Samuel Essel, our Central Regional correspondent, walks us through where is supposed to be the charge room, District MTTU office, the CID's office, the makeshift cell, and the whole interior of the police station. This was after a short resistance from the officers on duty who refused to speak on camera for fear of being penalized by their superiors.
Come here, we have an MT2 commander's office. This is an MT2 commander's office. And look at the chairs. These broken plastic chairs, 3 that they have gathered. Look at it. Have the charge office here, and here, this is the cell that they detain suspects. This is the cell. So we ask if I should count, we have the board 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wire board, and with a net, and they call it a cell. Modern Ghana. Today we are lucky we don't have any suspects inside here. So this is the lock that they used to lock a suspect. And look at it. So when I do it like this, I have opened it without a key. I have opened it. Look at it. I have opened it without a key. Another office of one of the officers. That's another charge office. This is the main charge office.
Just when we thought we have seen the worst, the officers told us off camera that they are still using the old-centric pan latrine, which they have to empty themselves. First Digital News decided to explore where these officers have their bath and also attend nature's call. We were horrified by what we saw.
So there is a saying that travel and see, and if you are told you don't believe it, what you need to do is to visit the place and see. We are actually behind the Ewutu Bojuasi police station. This is the camp where they sleep. This is the buildings that you are seeing here. This is where the policemen who are supposed to keep law here, this is where they sleep. And in fact, directly in front of me, 21st century, they are still using the pan latrine. And one officer told me that they used to carry this thing themselves to empty it. And all this are happening in 21st century Ghana.
A daughter of one of the police officers said she was tired of hiding their frustrations and decided to tell us all what they have been going through for some years now.
Somebody like my dad is having this big family. I, my siblings, my mom, and sometimes we do have some visitors around. And when they come, we have to share this room with them, which is single room. Preparing soup over there, and I can't stand there preparing the soup whilst my sister is also there with the banku, because that place is not big for us. The space is very small, so she has to come out and do the banku whilst I'm doing the soup in there. Yeah.
How about because of ventilation? If there is power off, what do you do?
Okay, actually, one is power off. We do come out to sleep outside, like this place. We see some of the mattresses outside, so we used to bring them out and then sleep on it until the light is in.
Let's now go for some pension tips for today.
We continue on our tips on pension mistakes to avoid opting out of your company's pension scheme. If you walk out of your workplace pension scheme, you could miss out on thousands of cedis. This is because lots of companies match employee contributions, so ignoring a company pension scheme effectively means saying no to free money. All workers do have the right to opt out of the pension scheme, but you will be automatically enrolled if you change your employer.
Pension Tips is brought to you by PenTrust. Call them for all your Tier 2 and 3 pension plans on 0302 901 500 or 0501 291 030. PenTrust, discipline.
Let's now go for some business news. In business this afternoon, the director of the Food Research Institute, Manam Te Ejiajove, has advised that farmlands should be managed as a business enterprise and not as a pastime project in the interest of food security, income maximization, and job creation.
Speaking at a stakeholder lesson learners for actors in the root and tuber crops production value chain organized by the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO in Accra, he said it is by so doing that farmers can deploy best farming practices to increase their gains from the sector. Mr. Josave cited the lack of new markets, farm inaccessibility, and low yields to be some challenges facing smallholder farmers in the country, and touched on the need for innovation and value addition to state food crops, especially cassava and yam, to help tackle post-harvest food losses in the country. There are a number of challenges facing farmers, including getting new markets for food surpluses, especially for cassava. But ironically, because of farm inaccessibility as a result of bad road networks, some local food crops processors have to look to neighboring countries for supply.
Now, the Supreme Court will on Thursday hear the substantive case in which a lawyer and banking lecturer, John Ephraim Bading, is asking the court to order the central bank to stabilize the local currency after bouts of massive depreciation against major currencies around the world.
Mr. Bading, in March this year, filed a case at the country's apex court seeking, among others, a declaration that, upon a true and proper interpretation of Article 183, subsection 2A of the 1992 Constitution and Bank of Ghana Act 2002, section 4B, the Bank of Ghana has neither promoted or maintained a stable currency for the Republic of Ghana. The plaintiff stresses in his case that the city's rate of depreciation over time does not show the central bank to be promoting and maintaining a stable currency for economic progress, and wants the court to concur and order the bank to stabilize the currency. Mr. Bading said the falling currency has caused him to lose wealth through exchange rate losses, and that he brought the action in the public interest. Despite several measures by the BOG to stem the pernicious slide of the city, it didn't prevent the local currency from falling from 2.16 Ghana cedis at the end of December 2013 to about 3.19 Ghana cedis as at yesterday. The central bank had initially raised preliminary objection to hearing of the case, arguing that the plaintiff had chosen the wrong firm to bring his complaint, but the Supreme Court, at its first sitting on the matter in July, asked the central bank to respond to the plaintiff case before the preliminary objection would be considered. Responding to the rate, the BOG argued that granting the plaintiff's release would definitely move the court beyond areas of judicial expertise. What the plaintiff is seeking from this court is his solution to what his opinions would ensure a stable monetary environment.
Okay, so let's find out how the city is faring against some major currencies across the world.
Market and Forex News is brought to you by Gold Coast Fund Management. Call them for free investment advice and get more details on their products on 0302 11411 or 0277 56877.
So let's cross over into the studios of Sports 24, and Akosia Moa is standing by with all the news in the world of sports.
Good afternoon to you, and you're welcome to the sports segment of the news from the studios of Sports 24 with me, Akosia Moa. And in sports this afternoon, Ghana and neighbor Togo will renew their bid of qualifying for next year's tournament when they clash at the Tamale Sports Stadium today at 16 o'clock GMT in the final Group E match. After stumbling to a surprise defeat in their penultimate game in Uganda, the Black Stars, who are still top in the group with 8 points, will only need a draw to reach the tournament in Equatorial Guinea. Despite that, there is still enough work to be done by the Black Stars to reach their goal. We have to go all out in that game, and I am sure we will qualify for the Nations Cup, said attacker Christian Achu. The last meeting between the two was in September, with Ghana finishing 3-2 winners. Ghana's passionate home crowd will be cheering on the Black Stars. However, Togo, with an equal chance of making it, will be up for the Navy finish. Though very close, the final round of matches will certainly produce the embarrassment of some teams possibly sitting out the tournament. Standing Black Stars coach Maxwell Knedu, who has striker Jordan Ayew available after returning from suspension, is confident of qualification as he also runs the room over the fitness of Captain Asamoah Gyan. We have our destiny in our own hands, said Kunedu. We just need to go out there in Tamale and beat Togo. I think a win against Togo will be okay and everybody will be refreshed and take things from there. Ghana will be without Andre Ayew, who is out due to injury. Like I keep on saying, Sports 24, we are celebrating the Ghanaian champions. Well, we have the lineup for the senior national team, talking of the Black Stars of Ghana, and I go straight up to that. In the goal post, we have Razak Brahima, and then to the defenders, we have Afo Harrison, Baba Rahman, Jonathan Mensah, John Boy, Razak Mubarak, and Solomon Asante, Rabiu Mohammed Ajimanbedu, who will be in as the captain, and Jordan Ayew, and then to some strikers we have Majid Waris. But away from that to some other stories, General Manager of Premiership side Bechin FC says the absence of the Premier League has some positive and negative effects on the clubs. Speaking exclusively to Sports 24, Nana Kusi said the clubs will continue to prepare as the FA continue to deal with the case.
It can be negative, it can be positive. Or the fact that we have not started is having an effect on us, and it's also helping us to sharpen out the rough edges. So in some cases you count it negative by paying your workers every time and not getting them to do what they are supposed to do, and on other ways too is also positive, because then you can sharpen your rough edges and wait for the rata. You know, the case is being adjourned and all that, so one cannot predict what will happen, but we as soldiers, we are always prepared for whatever happens. So when it starts now, we are in. When it doesn't, we're still doing our football business.
To some other stories, assistant coach of Division 1 side Elmina Sharks FC and the Sinacen says the recent tour of the team to the Born and Harford region has replaced the club in a good position for the league.
It has been a very successful pre-season for us because we've been able to look at the boys properly, because where they are training now, there was no pressure on them. They are playing more friendly matches, and we've been here for almost about 13-14 days, and they've played a lot of matches, and we've seen those who can play and those we need to work on, and I think it has been a step in the right direction. And still, kudos goes to Dr. Papa Kwesindo. We are ever prepared, because if you could see what we're doing, because even what we are doing now, most of the Premiership teams are not doing it, and we being a Division 1 team, being able to come this far, even from the Central region to the Ashanti region, because we are here playing games, going to the Brown Harford, because we've almost taught the Brown Harford region, and now we are here in Ashanti region at Bechin playing a game, and I think it's a very good step in the right direction.
Coach, will you appreciate
it? Has.
So that's it for sports this afternoon with me, Akosiamwa, from the studios of Sports 24. But don't forget, at exactly 2:30, you'd have to join Adamu Seidu and his pundit as they discuss the match concerning Ghana and Togo here in our studios here in Sports 24. We are going back into the studios of FTV, where Alfred continues with the news. Please do stay. afternoon, and I welcome you to the entertainment news with me, Scholastica Aquin. On to our first story. Miss Ghana 2013, Nadia Intanu, is set to join her colleagues for the finals of the Miss World pageant in the United Kingdom. Intanu leaves a month before the finals on December 14th. While in UK and before moving into camp, she will pay a courtesy call to the Ghana High Commission on Wednesday, the 19th of November.
She moves into official Miss World 2014 campaign on November 20th, just in time to catch up with the over 100 other nationals taking part in the event. This year's event is taking place at Excel London. A heavy Ghanaian presence at the event will be hugely helpful, exclusive events have said. In its 64th year, the 2014 edition comes just a year after Ghana made history by placing third. Ghana is the current holder of the Miss World Africa title, and Intanu is expected to put up a convincing all-round performance. Contestants will take part in these pre-event activities, including a Beauty with a Purpose exercise.
Okay, so we wish Nadia the best of luck in the Miss World pageant. On to our next story. Just when Ghanaians got to know that actress and film producer Yvonne Nelson had a new lover in shape of John the Ivorian, an ex-flame has opened about his glory days with the long-legged damsel.
Nigeria's rap heavyweight Ice Prince Zamani has confirmed that he once dated the House of Gold actress. He, however, indicated that the relationship could not travel the long haul because the actress, producer, campaigner and entrepreneur had a full schedule, which made it difficult for her to spend quality time with him. According to Ice Prince, the relationship just didn't work. She's a very busy person. She was way busier than I was at the time. I'm very busy as well. I'm never around like that. We don't get to gel as much, so that just kind of created space, and over time the relationship ended. Although they are no longer together, the rapper said he is very close to the Ghanaian actress and they are very good friends. We are cool. We are still talking. We still keep in touch when we can. Not every day, not every month, not every week, he said.
On to our last story. There has been a rumored feud between rapper Sarkodie and Afro dancehall artist Samini, but the two have cleared all that perception with their new studio work Love Rocks. It is not clear whether the collaboration is purely for business or for the best of what is yet to come.
Sarkodie has for the first time collaborated with Samini on an interesting reggae twist to his musical dexterity and a confirmation that Samini is master of reggae. This should put to rest rumors that Sarkodie and Samini are enemies. Sarkodie's Love Rocks featuring Samini, recorded by Kill Beats, was released on Monday, November 17th, 2014 and went ahead to release a new music video for it on the same day. The video, directed by Vertex, comes hours after the audio version was officially released online.
Okay, so that's it for entertainment with me, Scholastica Aquin. Our weather report is up next.
Ivory Coast Interior Minister Hamed Bakayoko has promised the government will meet demands for back pay by thousands of protesting soldiers. He made the promise in a television statement on Tuesday night after soldiers blocked roads in the country's main cities in protests. Mr. Bakayoko also said soldiers would also not face sanctions for protesting. The payments are due to about 9,000 former rebel fighters who were later integrated into the army. The fighters had been part of forces loyal to Alhassan Ouattara, who took office as president in 2011, ending a civil war. So that's it for the news this afternoon. It came to you live from our studios in Accra. Let's take a recap of some of the stories that made headlines this afternoon. 2015 budget presentation said Tekwe announces more austerity measures. Ebola research receives $5.7 million boost, and post-harvest losses high according to a study. And on the international front, Ivory Coast promised to pay protesting soldiers. There's more updated news at exactly 6 p.m. Why don't you make a date with us? But on behalf of the rest of the team, thank you for watching. My name is Alfred Akanse. Wish you all the best for the rest of the day. Good afternoon.
Like us on Facebook at First Digital TV.
I love you, you love me, baby, I know it's true, sometimes it's crazy.
You can now pay your 20 Ghana Cedis First Digital subscription at your nearest GN Bank. Just walk in with your UN number, which you can find by pressing CAS on your remote. Please pay now to avoid disconnection. Call 0243 002222 for more information. First Digital, for the Ghanaian in you.